Hello and welcome to another episode of AGEUcational. I'm your host, Roy.
I'm Terry.
So we are chronicling not only our journey through the aging process, but also our parents. We're lucky to still have, I have both of my parents. Terry's has one of hers that are still living. And we're getting to that point where we're having to make some different decisions, just become more challenging as we go through this. So what we want to do is to, disseminate as much information as we can, and then not only, talk about our struggles that we go through, but also have professionals on from time to time. And typically what we do is we release our professional interviews on Tuesday, and then on Thursdays we have just more of our personal insights, things like that. But we're also going to start trying to focus more on Alzheimer's. And we're not experts. I'm going to get that out of the way right now. We are not experts, don't claim to be experts. Always seek medical advice, always read and research the information for yourself to make the best decision for you and your family and your loved ones. Terry has been through the Alzheimer's struggles with her father.
Yeah, my dad, he had Alzheimer's. Well, he had actually dementia, Pick's disease. We always referred to it as Alzheimer's because the medication that he took was an Alzheimer's medication. So to slow the progression, and he had it, he was out of the house for 7 years, but he had it for a good probably 10, 12 years total. That we not really wanted to admit, but that we came to grips with and tried to do our best job that we knew how at the time. Yeah. And he passed away he passed away in 2014. So
almost 7 years.
Yeah. And it was, we've got some funny stories about where he lived and things like that. But the medication, there's not much out there, and there has not been an approved medication for use with Alzheimer's in any stage for 18 years.
Yeah. So
the fact that there was one just within this last week that was approved for use, what was a huge feat right there.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say, and I'm not taking any sides, but I think it's only fair to the listeners to say that it's approved with an asterisk by it.
That's right.
So it's not without controversy. And, the other thing I read is that we have 6 million people in the U.S. that suffer from Alzheimer's. And again, that's not taken in, I guess that's specifically Alzheimer's diagnosis, not taken into account, all the other types of dementias and things like that. But we thought it would be interesting. And this is, we made a decision a couple weeks ago, and, we've been struggling with technological issues, like Wi-Fi and things like that. So anyway, we're going to try to be a little bit more regular about having these Thursday releases where we can talk about anything that's new and going on with us, but also anything new, with the struggle with Alzheimer's. It may be not always going to be new information, but just bringing you some kind of information,
some kind of current happenings. And there's always something current going on with it, because there are so many people, and that number is just going to multiply so much as we get into the future.
Yeah.
So and it's important to get medication. Oh my gosh, it's important to get money for funding, research, all of that stuff.
Yeah. So this new drug is from Biogen, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. It's like AGEUcating.
Aducanumab, something like that. So nobody says it because they don't know how to pronounce it.
But so the weird thing was, and here again, I've done a little reading. I think we'll just say most of the source that we have for this right now has been the NBC News on their website, and then on CNN as well. So, what we always advise is go on there, check it out, like
And
I
the
said.
FDA, I did pull it up on
Oh,
FDA
okay.
site also.
Yeah, we're not the experts, and we
No.
don't ever want to be, but mainly we just want to give you something to the listeners, something to think about, something to investigate. It may or may not be a good fit, for each individual situation, but it's definitely may be worth a conversation with your healthcare professional or your loved one's healthcare professional.
Yeah.
But
And the when this first came out, I was so excited. I was just like, oh my gosh, they've actually approved something
yeah,
for use. Well, everybody was just across the board so excited about it because it had been almost 20 years. Well, in the last, for about 2 or 3 days, that kind of stewed. And then all this other stuff came out about possible, controversy regarding the use. And it's the first disease modifying therapy approved for use in the US, but it's for early stage Alzheimer's, and it treats the underlying disease rather than manage the
yeah,
symptoms like anxiety and
yeah. The one thing I
insomnia.
read is that it does not claim to reverse
No.
Alzheimer's, but it does slow the decline. Which, if you have someone suffering, then of course that's good news. Some news is
Yeah.
better than good
Then
news. Some news is better than no news. And if it helps a little bit, we would love something that would reverse it and make everybody back to where they were prior to that. But uh, if we don't have that, maybe taking the position of slowing it and at least extending that time, that that's a win for some people. But I think that's where that seems, from the little research that I've done on this, that's kind of what the medical professionals, and if I'm not wrong, correct me, as we go through this, there was an independent panel back in November of 2020 that actually declined to push this forward and wanted more research and more information. Once the
It was an
FDA,
advisory.
yeah,
Yeah,
an advisory
advisory
panel.
committee. Hmm.
And then the FDA kind of overrid that and pushed it out. And then I was reading that one of the doctors that was on that original panel has actually resigned because it was about, 11-member panel and
11
10.
member panel, and 10 of those 11 members did not approve it for use because
Yeah.
there were different reasons, and then one of the 11 was uncertain, so
Yes.
none of them approved it
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, and that's kind of the scary, because the drug came out on what they call an accelerated approval pathway, which I think has opened up a lot, due to COVID and the vaccine and pushing things through. I think the FDA is taking a hard look at, streamlining that. But again, it seemed like this was a lot of pressure from the public, from Alzheimer's
The
groups and
associations.
things like
Yeah.
that, because they're saying, hey, look, kind of like you said in the intro, is like, hey, we haven't had anything in 18 years. If there's even a hint that this works, get it out and let's trial it with real people, because that was another thing that the way that they were trialing it, I don't think there was an issue with it, but the limited number of people, I think these groups thought, if we get it out to the masses, we'll let them test this and see, which that is one of the asterisk points of this approval process, was that it was approved, but they told them that they had to continue doing their studies to, make sure
Right.
what they were getting out of it.
And what the advisory committee, the 11 member committee, didn't approve was the original study as it was designed. And there are some possible side effects like brain bleeds, and just even, but if you think about it, even if they had possible side effects, I mean, my gosh, people have
Right.
Alzheimer's. So what's gonna weigh it out? Is it
Yeah.
okay? Are you worried about the side effects from the possible side effects from this new drug, or the possibilities of this new drug being able to be helpful?
Right.
I mean, they have Alzheimer's. That's not that right there is the rest. That's the rest of their life. You don't know how long that's going to be, and you don't know what kind of other, on top of whatever health issues come along with that, because there are so many.
Yeah, and I think it's important that individuals make the decision, an informed decision, and that I think that's kind of where we're going with this. It seems is that the groups are saying, yeah, I mean, as long as there's not a lot of a large percentage of people that suffered the side effects, they're saying, well, let's put it in the people's hands and let's let them make a decision. You've got, a terrible disease. Do you want to take a chance that this could go right for you, or are you willing to roll the dice and say,
Be one of
well,
the ones that
yeah,
gets the side effect.
if I get the side effect, I'm not going to be much worse off. It may get happen sooner, but I'm probably not going to be much worse off than if I would have struggled with the Alzheimer's, through the end stages. So so that's kind of giving it back to self-choice, is letting people, families decide for themselves, is it worth it for us in our situation? And of course, consulting their health care professionals amongst that. But then also the price. I mean, definitely going to be priced out. And I haven't heard yet if this is going to be covered by insurances, or if it's still going to be considered experimental. So people will have to pay cash out of their
out of their
pocket.
own pocket.
Yeah, which some data that I saw, and all this is very preliminary. We are taping this June 12th of
2021.
2021.
All the years are running together now.
So yeah, but just things change rapidly, and
Right.
If you listen to this in the end of June or July or August, maybe it's different. But for today, they're saying that this will cost $56,000 a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of money. That's about just under $5,000 a month. Then
That's nuts.
no, it is. And then it said that what you have to do is it's delivered through infusion. You have to go in every 4 weeks, get an infusion, and it's based on your weight and then your cognitive impairment. So I guess, if you're heavier in weight and have and you're further along with more cognitive impairment, maybe it's going to cost more, and they give you a little more, where if you're at the beginnings, then maybe not so much. And I think that you made that point too, is that this is originally, I guess, designed for people that are very early on. So,
early stages. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I was going to go back because I didn't, because the doctor who was on that committee who resigned, the advisory committee who resigned, he's not the only one who resigned. There were actually 3 total members who did. And he cited one of the reasons because of the great public pressure to get a drug out. I don't know, it's just such a it's that, and then also that it may delay the development for new drugs for Alzheimer's, because they're putting everything into this. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what.
Well, I mean, it's
diminished momentum for other ones.
It's pretty telling that 10 of 11 said no, and one guy was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And then, for 2 doctors to actually resign over it, I mean, that's pretty telling in itself. There was another analysis done, and I'm not sure of the group that did it or how they went through the coming up with these figures, but what they did is they tried to look at, based on the gains from taking the drug that were suggested by the company studies, that this should only be priced between $2,500 and $8,000 a year, which is drastically reduced. Substantially lower than the 56,000. So it, if I guess what they're saying, it's kind of like a cost benefit analysis. If you were to do this, what is the real benefit to you? And so that's another thing to maybe look at, is the huge difference in just that. Is it really worth taking a chance? Well, number one, is it worth spending the money for it? And is it worth taking a chance with the side effects for obviously the minimal gains?
Yeah.
But that's an outsider speaking. If it's your loved one, then you're looking for
You're
a
gonna
minimal
do,
gain.
yeah,
You
you're
know,
gonna do anything you
anything and
can.
at
You're
any cost.
grasping.
Right.
Yeah. And I was just gonna, I wanted to read the FDA's response when that came out,
Yeah.
when the drug came out. It just said currently available therapies only treat symptoms of the disease. This treatment option is the first therapy to target and affect the underlying disease process of Alzheimer's. As we've learned from the fight against cancer, the accelerated approval pathway can bring therapies to patients faster while spurring more research and innovation.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody, it's just so confusing. But I know as the daughter of an Alzheimer's patient, I would be grasping at every straw that I could and doing everything that I possibly could just to give them a chance.
Yeah.
Just any chance.
Yeah, but then I think the other drawback to this is it, using it appropriately. If, let's just say, somebody uses it in the later stages and it doesn't work as well, are we going to give this a bad name versus if it's used appropriately in the early stages and does delay, so I think that's another thing about opening up widely is, and also really listening to the statistics that come out, because we can, we just don't want it to come out and say, well, it's just not working in a large percentage. But if that percentage is people that it's really not targeted to help, then, we wouldn't expect that. So I think, as you do your research, just be careful to look at all the different facts.
Yeah. And so Dr. Joel Perimeter, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correct, Perimeter, anyway, he was the one who was, who quit and came out and made a bunch of statements. But one of the statements that he made, he said that the original study as designed it failed completely. So what the accelerated approval pathway for the FDA accelerated approval pathway did was retroactively choose a subgroup that got better. So those were typically very biased, and that is quoting him.
Yeah.
So, it's back and forth.
Yep.
I'm just very I'm conflicted,
Right,
but really anything. It's just such a devastating.
Yeah. And when these new things roll out, you can probably usually always make a case for, one side or the other. But I think the main thing is information is power. And so when you walk into a doctor's visit the next time, at least you have this information to say, hey, is it good for us? If we were to do it, what is the outcome? What are
the side effects?
What is the stage that, you are in or your loved one is in, and, try to make some educated and get some healthcare professionals. The problem is too, with that is a lot of your, local practitioners may not really be in the loop since this is coming out new. So it may take, looking a little bit deeper into some of the original studies. And that, I was trying to think where that was, not sure where it was released, but I think you can find it on the FDA website,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. And then, and we looked at CNN and the CBS and NBC,
Yeah.
all of them, ABC,
Well,
they all had.
it's such huge news,
Yeah.
because like you said, it's been 21 years. This treats some of the underlying issues of the disease, not just their symptoms. So,
Right.
there's just a lot of hope that's been put around this. We just need to, move cautiously until it's proven, one way or the other. So all we recommend is just do your research, do your homework. Maybe don't even take one person's word for it. Would be a great time to get a second opinion as well.
Third, fourth, fifth, especially with that. But keeping in mind that desperation, brings decisions that you may not make if you even had the information, but try to get as much information as you can before.
All right. Well, unless you have anything else, we'll wrap it up for this episode.
Nope. Just, I mean, it's exciting news to know that we're close, but just make sure that you do your research.
Proceed with caution.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of AGEUcational. We appreciate you listeners very much. We also have the Facebook group. You can interact. We're on Instagram. We're on all the major social media platforms. We have a lot of great guests. If you haven't listened to us before, go over to our website, www.ageucational.com, and you can see all of our previous guests and episodes that we've released. Some really great ones out there, some awesome ones to come up in the future as well that we've got on the calendar. So give a listen, and we're always open for feedback. If there's a topic that you'd like for us to cover, or an expert you'd like for us to get on, if you've got a family member that's been through this, we also like to hear, individual stories if people want to share. And then, if you have a practitioner that has to do with aging in some manner, if you want to recommend them, we'd be glad to talk about that. So reach out, let us know. And we are on all the major podcast platforms too: Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify. If we're not on one that you listen to, please reach out. We'd love to, get it on, so it make it easy for you to listen to. Until next time, that's going to do it for me. I'm Roy.
And I'm Terry.
Y'all have a good day. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. And take care of each other. Take care of your loved ones.